Oh, we love the warm welcomes from everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome back to another Monday edition of the Bucket and Hoosier Show. Bucket, like I always started off. How was your week?
Hot, man. It is
Phoenix hot there.
The beginning of the summer. It's starting to ramp up. We got a date night this weekend, so that was really nice. Probably the last one we're gonna have for the next 18 years or so.
Oh no, yeah. When is
before Baby 3 comes?
When is the day?
June 2nd is the tentative scheduled, but man, you know how it is. Any day you have to be prepared. So yeah, get as much as we can in now because it's gonna be baby 3 and diapers.
Oh
and
Lord,
all the fun stuff.
Well, I can tell you, child number 3 is just, it turns it from a nice, well-oiled machine to its own little circus.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I was talking to my mother-in-law. It is definitely, I remember those summers out there in Arizona. You guys are already up to like 104 today?
Yeah, this last weekend was pretty bad. And it's just going to get worse. I think it's in the hundreds for sure.
Oh, it's only going to get worse. Better bust out the cookies and bake yourself some when your car is parked when you're in the store. But what a weekend.
Just don't leave your kids or your dogs in the car.
Yeah, don't do that. People will lose their mind.
It's crazy though that how many people do that.
Yeah, bless your heart in that heat, as Wonka would say.
Hey, you don't have to shovel sunshine though. That's what they say out here. Go back to shoveling your snow. I'll keep up with the sunshine.
Actually, I would trade. There are days in the winter when I would definitely trade that. Like, I don't want to do this. The first time I was living out here in Maryland and it snowed, I can remember I looked outside. I'm like, wait, people live in this? Like, this is why? Why would you stay here in this? And then I bought a house.
There's no perfect place to live, but you got to find the things that, because I hated humidity because I sweat when I like walk. So there's no humidity here in the Midwest, had humidity, and then all the seasons. I miss that, but that's the beauty of living here is I drive an hour in any direction and I can just 2 hours max, even 4 hours, I'll be at the ocean. So, you can get to the woods, you can get to the Grand Canyon, you can get to Vegas, you can get to the ocean, you get to Mexico. Like that's why I love it because it's all available.
And people ask me, they're like, Arizona, you have snow? I'm like, here's the difference. When you live down in the valley, you can drive 2 hours, go play in the snow, and then you drive 2 hours and you're back out of it and don't have to deal with it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So that is the beauty of that. Speaking of, I was going to try and segue that and say, speaking of beauty this weekend, but this was not good for NA at all.
Well, it was good for one team.
It was good for G2. They're solidifying right now that they are the top dog after, and I was one of them who was not sure when they picked up Atomic if that was the move to make, but it seems to be working out, and good Lord, did they put on a dominant display this week, because not only did they stay in the upper bracket, let's see here, they only got taken to 5 games by Pittsburgh Knights. After that, Rogue, they only go to 4. And then Torrent doesn't take them to 7 games. They get beat 4-0. And then they beat Envy 4-1. And then they win 4-2. So there was only one team that took them the entire distance. And that was in the first round where everybody has the jitters to start.
Yeah, and Knights actually looked pretty good too. I mean, they came out and beat a team after they lost that close game. So good for them. But that was really the only time G2 even looked like they were, in trouble or up against it, or they couldn't do anything. It wasn't even that. It was just the first series of the day for them. And then after that, it was just, open highway to the promised land.
Yeah,
so what was it? 3. This is a 3rd straight grand finals for them and the 3rd straight win.
Yep.
In an event, the LAN regional spring 1, spring 2.
Spring 2, spring 1. They won winter overall. And then hang on, did they win Oh wait, I gotta find it. Where's it at? No, V1 took the last winter. So yeah, G2, they're dominant right now. They took winter 2, the winter major, spring 1, spring 2. That's four majors that they have. I love G2's playstyle. Pressure. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there, Doc. That is their playstyle, and no one can see that was always G2's crutch was that they would push too much, and then they'd get beat on the long end, like on long shots, and just get caught off guard. But what's happening in NA that's no one's doing that.
Just the right pressure and not the overcommits and the ability to act quickly and get back when you need to, but keep the foot kind of pressed on the gas a little bit, right? Like never really let go because they're just playing better than everyone. So you get a bunch of individuals playing as a team, and the team's playing better than other teams, and the individuals are playing the better than other individuals. It's hard to beat, no matter what play style they play.
Well, it's almost like they're running this. I've heard it. I've seen it talked about in tweets and kind of on Reddit. This newer play style, and I feel like it's more along what diamonds and champ players do without thinking about it. So we always talk about, rotation, right? And you got your 1, your 2, and your 3. But now it seems to be that you got 1, 2, and then the third guy is staying off that. So it's almost like this vertical, I guess, lack of a better term, like a vertical play style.
Yeah, I've heard that terminology around as well from various parts of the Rocket League universe. But yeah, stacking vertically. I've seen it in ranked play, just naturally the way the game progressed and how people were like, okay, I need to back up my teammate. He's doing something. And then the third guy's like, all right, I should back up these guys. And then we'll just kind of take over the whole field. But it's just become more of a quick rotational way to combat those solo plays, really. Because there's always pressure going on. And people aren't trying to rotate in odd ways all the way back. I don't know. I'm not sure that it's very specific to that, but you can see that they're just so fast with the way they're playing. Well, I'd love to go. I need to go look at a breakdown of their game, actually.
I need to
I haven't done that this week.
I haven't as well. I've been bad about that. But it also seems like it's a like when you're playing that play style, you can have, when you're going up against a guy's doing a solo play, you kind of split it, right? So I'll take high, you take low. And then, all right, you're taking away both options. It's almost like double teaming in basketball. Just
exactly, but it's on purpose, right? It's not on accident. And that's what it takes, is those commits when you know what you're trying to do, when it's purposeful.
It is purposeful indeed, and we see that happening a lot more. To where I don't know if there's really going to be any solo plays, because it kind of, if you look at NRG, right? NRG, they talked about that they have changed up their play style. They're trying to get used to it because Justin's not getting the 1v1s and the solo plays like he was getting. He's not having time with the ball, and you can see that they're thrown off. And maybe that's what it's always been, is them just needing to adjust. It's so
obvious to me though what he's doing. I mean, you can see the ball's hit straight at him, right in the air. Like it's coming, it's like towards the net. Maybe it's a shot on net, and it's pretty hard, 50 miles an hour or something. And he's able to jump and kind of like slow the ball down and then land next to it and then start a solo play. But everyone's just kind of reading it at this point. He's not fooling anybody to get his solo plays. And I think that's where you got to switch it up, right? You got to do pass, run, pass. You got to switch it up.
Right. Yeah, like you talked about. And I kind of been trying to do it with my own play in Rocket League. And I've actually seen a lot of benefit, because definitely in the champ environment, I've recognized it's definitely a lot. People, they're still just smacking the ball, right? And even if you can take that Justin slow down, and maybe you can't like maneuver the ball very well, But even if you slow it down just that little bit, it causes everybody to kind of stop and be like, wait, what's happening? I'm not able to just rotate and jump off the wall and hit, like, the ball's not going there. So what do I do? Whereas we're seeing the adverse effect in pro play of, instead of slowing it down, it's keep it sped up right now. And you're seeing G2 benefit from that because they play that type of play style.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. There's a lot of different things going on that I'm liking, a lot of different things that are working for teams. Trying to keep the ball, more possession of it makes a lot of sense, but also it gives the ability for the teams to settle in and get their rotation back. So there's something to be said, I think, for just playing the long game, getting people off of their position, doing things that are not expected. And I think I hear that a lot more when I watch, like, Forky or really high mechanical players, is their expectations of what other players are going to do against them dictates how they're going to play. So if I know I'm playing against a good player, I know he's going to control the ball, I know he's going to hit it how he wants to, and when he doesn't do that, it throws off everything I'm doing. So there's something to be said for the misses, or trying these extra things that you may not do, or just going for a 50 once in a while instead of faking it, or whatever it is. I don't know.
Well, you, like, even in your play, and you're higher, you're GC2 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so even in GC2,
not to brag, but
I mean, I'll gas you up. But even like you said, you had noticed in recent play that you stopped going for 50-50s.
Yeah, it's more just get up there and make sure there's a little bit of chaos going on so the other team freaks out, but don't commit yourself to something you don't need to do. And then also, even when your teammate cuts you, don't get angry and just follow them and try to do too much with them. Just peel off and deal with it and get to a better spot. And those little tiny things are what these guys have been doing for a long time. And it's just so telegraphed now. The game becomes, I think we talked about this a little bit, it becomes this, like, very short game, like back and forth. No, you're waiting for mistakes to happen, but no mistakes are happening. It's so perfect. The teams are playing perfect. The comms are perfect. The mechanics are getting to the perfect spot. The saves, the everything. So it almost is boring because you're not making your opponents do anything extra. And then you see the teams like the SSG typically will go for demos or cause chaos up front and let their good players kind of take the range. They didn't do that this weekend very well, but know, that's what you'll see.
Well, and you named
G2 didn't have to do that either. They were winning everything.
You named the wrong team for demos. Did you see the stats on that?
I didn't.
Com had double the demos than I think 4 teams combined.
Com was all over it.
That dude is just nuts. But I feel like that's what got them caught at some point, because I even said in Tordad's chat when he was doing his watch party that I think Beast Mode was getting there doing the demos. I think Torment got in there, got a couple of demos, and I had made a comment like, "Oh, so it's not just Com's not the only one doing it." He's like, "Yeah, they gotta, they gotta shake it up," and it's true, because when you see a stat like that of, I think Com had like 90 something demos this past weekend. It's like,
yeah, it was a gross stat.
You then go into games against them like, okay, he's gonna demo, and I don't know how much. Okay, let me ask you this as a GC2 player. How much, when you're watching, when you're playing, how often are you shifting your eyes to look at other like to see another player out of your peripheral?
I use my camera.
You move your whole camera?
All the time. I mean, I have to know where every player is, or you're going to get blindsided at this point. And people will chase it. It's like baseball, where the team will just live by the home run, die by the home run. Like, we're hitting home runs. That's the only way we're scoring. Right. And if we don't hit home runs that game, we're probably going to lose. And you have players out there and teams out there that are doing the same thing. We got to hit this chaos play. We're going to go bump. We're going to get this guy out of the net. And we're either going to live by it and score, or we're all going to be on the wrong side and they're just going to long shot it down. Like, we're going to live and die by this. And it works, but also you come up to a G2 team who's just playing sound and fast and quick. You're not going to, beat them in 7 games or
Correct.
2 best-of-7 games.
Yeah, you're definitely not. To answer Wonka Wash's question, literally, Tordad's Twitch is Tordad. Anytime V1 is playing, he is live.
Where is Tordad? He was in his Discord this weekend, and he was in. Maybe it wasn't him. I thought it was him. Watch party, but it's locked. Like I can't even get in there. So I was trying to message. I was gonna message him, but by that time I left.
Oh,
so maybe he was streaming. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was. He's always on his channel when V1 is playing and is gassing him. It's hilarious to listen to, and it's actually kind of fun. Like if you pay attention and you're watching, because a lot of people don't know that he streams them, but a lot of the players, like Reddles has hopped in there a couple of times. Like after a match, you'll see a couple of pro players hop in and out. So it's kind of like a fun little like dad group of, oh hey look, we have pro players in here just chatting.
Yeah, that's legit. I just wanted to like chat with someone on Saturday or whatever day it was.
Oh yeah, I
messing around, and I was looking in all the Discords trying to find someone who was chatting. I couldn't find anyone. I ended up in, I don't know if it was Friday, in Big Fan RL's chat. He had actually Jesu and King Moore, and then some other random people were in there chatting, and I only got to watch one final series.
Oh, all right.
And then the day was over because it was Friday, but.
Yeah, Friday's definitely a hard day to watch right now because all the teams are doing their own thing. And actually, I had a gripe with Friday for the Rocket League channel. You had Space Station V1 in the lower second round, and they didn't put that on the main channel for the last match of the day.
We only got to watch the last game or something, wasn't it? Or it popped over to it. They didn't watch it at all. I thought it did.
I thought they had NRG X set on.
Yep.
Which that ended up being a 3-0, and we saw glimpses of NRG like coming back. I as much as I have beat up on NRG, I would say they had a very good showing this weekend from like the past couple from Regional 1 and from the Winter Major. So
they're like a cat you threw down a well and it just keeps clawing its way back up, and it's coming, and it's always going to keep fighting, but that well's getting deeper. They're really up against it, but especially, I mean, we were just talking about beforehand the rankings overall.
The rankings, yes. Well, and speaking of rankings, if you're looking at spring rankings, I wanted to pull some stats, but Octane GG, they seem to be down right now, so that's not working out. But if you're looking at just stats right now and rankings for spring, Envy is in the number 3 slot right now, and NRG is on the outside looking in, even though they did climb up 3 spots with how well they did in this past weekend. Space Station dropping down 2 spots to they're tied for 4th with FaZe, so that would be 4th and 5th. But do you think Envy's for real here? That's a no.
It's hard to say at this point. I mean, they're so far, they got a long way to go, but I think that they're for real. I mean, what was the move that put them back in the conversation though?
Don't care.
It was benching the best player in the world.
I'm gonna quote Rizzo on his Chalkcast tonight because I happened to peek in on it. Envy had a cookie cutter upper bracket to get where they got to.
Okay. I mean, you still got to play the games. It's funny to like always go back to the matchups and how it plays out. But do you think their road to it was that easy?
I think what made it
just
easier,
better for them.
I think what made it better for them was getting Xset in the second round.
Well, yeah. So you think they would have gotten beat by NRG had Space Station had it. Space Station beat them.
I will always say yes.
Yeah, you will say yes.
I just need like some Space Station merch at this point.
But look at Space Station's. I mean, they went 3-2 on Ghost after they lost to Xset, and then they lost to V1 3-2. So they weren't playing very well. I told
you.
Envy wins that.
I told you. You said that this was
the best team that could have came out of FaZe. They could have played FaZe in the semifinals, I guess. Maybe that would have made it more complex for them.
For what? For Envy?
Yeah.
Yeah. If they would, I think if they would have had Space Station in the upper quarters, I'll always pick Space Station. And then, yeah, if they would have had FaZe, I don't know. FaZe was off this weekend too. I just felt like
that's what I'm saying.
They took advantage of what was presented to them. I will agree to that, but I will.
It wasn't any easier than G2's route. I mean,
what?
Rogue and Torrent.
Well, okay, G2 did, but that's the perks of being the upper team. I mean, to be fair, V1 dropping to Torrent. Something happened this weekend. Someone was playing with the frequencies, and
it's like what happened to the Suns last night. It was just a shellacking. The teams that you expected to show up did not show up when it was Game 7.
They didn't do bad at all against G2. Wonka, I would disagree.
10-minute timeout. 10-minute timeout.
Yeah, they stole one win, and then they get 3-0'd, 4-1, lose 1-0, and then 2-1. I would still say that for their level, okay, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Sure. I will agree to that, but it wasn't great, because then they go down and play against V1 and they just keel over. I mean, keel over. You lose 9-2 on the final game, and not like Mist wasn't even trying. And they the only good part was that they weren't. You could tell by looking at the cams, they weren't beating each other up. They were just gassed from playing G2.
Yeah, I might have to watch that one.
That is two rough teams to go back-to-back on, G2 and V1. I would contend right now G2 and V1 are the ranking. I can't remember if the rankings do say it. But, like, to me, that's my top two teams right now. Actually, yep, in spring, G2 and V1. That's the two top teams in North America.
Well, V1 had a long road. They could have made it a lot easier for themselves. The quarterfinals, but yeah, I thought it was going to be, what do we think? G2, we all had G2, V1, Space Station, FaZe being 4, and we thought there were 4 really solid contenders. Before this weekend, I was saying that. Mm-hmm. Then this weekend happened, and now I'm saying there's one team on the top of the mountain, and every time someone gets close, they kick them down. And then another team tries, and they get kicked down. And then another team tries, and they get kicked down. And everyone's scrambling to be in the top 5, and they don't even know there's like one team. It just happened in the last few months, but it happened. That's where we are.
Yeah, they're definitely looking like a strong team. Wonka, you never call SSG bums again.
But he did make a good point. Complexity and Envy showed up. You got to give them props. I mean, when another team is down, just because they're not playing their best doesn't mean that the team that beat them, that might have been on paper a team that should have lost, you can't just look at the negative that the other, the better team had when they lost. They showed up, Complexity and Envy, and until that upper bracket or that lower bracket final.
So here's the thing
that you were talking about.
So everybody likes to talk about, like, when we watched EU in Regional 1. After Regional 1, everybody was saying that, EU, It's just has so much depth. EU is just, these teams are just great. There's so much depth. Are we saying NA has depth, or is this a fake showing right now?
I thought it was depth before the major, during the major. During the LAN event. We're like, man, these NA teams are just running through. They're doing everything they can. We have a better pool of teams. But now, the way things are shaking out, it's just starting to feel like maybe it's not that way. And we won't know again until they play each other. That's the thing. That we could talk all day about how good one region is over the other, but until they play each other, we have no idea.
I mean, so I'll be curious to see this weekend for EU how well it matches up. Because if you go back and look at Regional 1 for them for spring, most of the matches, they go the full length, whereas we didn't have that in NA. Even in the second round of the upper, so the upper quarters, G2 and Rogue only go to 4 games, and this round is a best of 5 series. G2 Rogue only go to 5, V1 Torrent go to 4, V1 and Torrent go to 4. For FaZe and Complexity are the only ones that go to 5. And then in upper semis, which is a best of 7, only goes to 4 games for G2 Torrent, 5 games for Envy and Complexity. Like, we're not seeing the full, like, if these are 2 teams and they got to play it out, like, actually going the distance with each other. There's a clear team that is dominating the other.
The series. So maybe it's a mental thing you're thinking?
Maybe there's just,
I don't know. There's really no explanation for that.
Well,
I can see that. There's not a lot of 3 2s, 4 3s. There's a lot of 3 1s, 4 1s,
4 1s,
4 2s, 4 0s. There's more gap than one game.
Correct.
Deciding these things.
The only time that we got to a full match length was G2 and aside from what, all right, there's a couple that I can point out real quick. So Complexity and Sonics in the first round, Space Station Xset, G2 and Pittsburgh Knights. And then in lower round, first round, Pittsburgh Knights and Oxygen. Oh, we didn't even talk about Oxygen. Theirs on downfall. Space Station Ghost. And then you go into V1 Space Station. Nope. Not in lower thirds. Not in lower quarters. And then lower semis, we get NRG V1. So it's like there's those couple of teams that are always there that actually make it competitive. And I think that's what I don't want to give Johnny Boy credit, but I think that's what they're looking at. And it makes sense. That's why there's this huge belief that EU has depth. And I'm kind of nervous for NA as we get closer to London because that's going to be an EU dominant crowd.
Yeah, but we already got back into the major. I mean, to the LAN. They know what to expect now, most of these teams. It'll be easier to block out the noise than I think EU had to deal with in their first LAN back. A lot of these kids' first LAN probably ever. I don't know the percentage or the numbers, but I'm assuming a lot of these kids, it was their first time playing in front of a crowd like that.
Right.
And this will be, kind of a next step for most of these teams. But the home field's going to have the advantage for sure. But you might see this. Maybe this is the way it plays out, where NA just has better teams, and we're getting these 3-1, 4-1 series every time. But you never know. I mean, we don't know. It's like, again, in other sports, baseball, basketball, football, they have the AFC, NFC. They have the East and the West. They have the different divisions, the AL, the NL, and they don't really play each other that much. And when they do, that's when you know who's better. And it takes forever. The World Series, the All-Star Game. Those are the only times they do this.
Well, if you go off of what Wonka says, America always prevails overseas, but in the game of Rocket League, that has not been the case. The Frenchmen always seem to show up, and that Frenchman team in BDS is terrifying right now. So
there's no better team in the world minus G2. Obviously, G2 right now is at the top of the mountain, but
they are.
That new BDS team, scary.
They are very scary. But like you said, G2, they're the top. They won Winter. They are still winning in NA, so they are the top team. They seem to just be like the new NRG for NA. NRG is waiting for LAN to show their new moves. PRS, dude, they got to get to LAN first. Right now, they're not going to get there.
They're not even qualified.
I don't know if they will get there.
Is there mathematically possible? Is there a mathematical possibility for them to?
I think there still is. They're not out. They're not out. I think
they got to do well and someone's got to do bad. Like that's not a good situation.
No, it's a terrible situation to be in.
Relying on other teams to do bad or to get you there. You always want to leave it in your own hands, right? That's one of the things that coaches and players will always say in sports. Let's not leave it up to other teams to decide our fate. We have to decide our fate. And they don't have that ability anymore to get to the next LAN.
Yeah, it's out of their hands right now. All they can do, it's not out of their hands, right? There's still that same mindset. Control what you can control. And right now, for them to control their fate, I think to just control their fate, I think they have to win it all. And then they got to win, and
they got to have a couple of teams not do hot.
They need one.
I think
right now.
I'll look at the numbers, but from what I can see, a W will definitely help.
Yeah, a W helps get them there if they can do it in Regional 3. But yeah,
PRS dude's taking bets.
He is. He says they're gonna get there.
Oh man, that's a long shot. Honestly, I think it's a long shot for them to get there. I would not be surprised if they don't make it.
I wouldn't either. Just because that's the way.
I would be more surprised if they do.
I would agree. If they don't, can you even make a roster move before Worlds? No. Okay. So all right. So they have their ticket punch the Worlds, right?
Yes.
They're going. Well, yes, they do.
According to Liquipedia, it says the highlighted team is, what's it say? I was reading this the other day. Man, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, them FaZe and G2, they have their ticket punch the Worlds, whether it's in the wild card or in the actual like past the wild card stage.
Yeah, qualify for the wild card stage.
Correct. So they're going now. Do we see? I would. So here's my speculation for NRG. I almost feel like no matter what happens at Worlds, we have a roster change after Worlds.
NRG.
I think it's squishy. It's either squishy or it's Garrett.
Garrett is still one of the best players overall in RLCS. He's going to continue to play, in my opinion. If he doesn't, it'll be an early retirement. I don't think
he's
that
21.
Would not be great for NA or the sport. But yeah, Squishy and Justin both have the ability to also play. I mean, all three players can.
Yes.
But it might be the end of an era as far as the three of them playing on the same team goes.
I think it is. Garrett 21, Squishy 21, and Justin is, I think he's like 19. 19, nailed it. Damn, I'm getting good at this.
Maybe we get some of these guys to just stick with it. I mean, you don't see that a lot in sports anymore. Things start going the sideways, people bail, move on to the next. Sometimes when you get through that adversity and you go back to the drawing board, they could come back next year and play just as well or better.
Well, I almost feel like if you had to like compare it to like sports and the what is it? Like the storyline, who's the guy that's kind of out of, I guess not an original member. It's Squishy, right? Or Garrett and Justin, they've been together for a long time. Mm-hmm. So why would either of them move and allow Squishy to stay? Because it's Garrett's team. That no one can deny that. He's
I would agree, but you never know what their sentiment is.
True. I mean, the dude has been. I mean, he's one of the only players that's been to. I think he broke his. I think the LAN streak got. No, I don't think it's been broken. I think he's still the only one that's been to like every LAN.
It's about to be.
Yeah, I guess that is on the line.
Not according to PRS dude though.
Well, even PRS dude says that they gotta have they gotta be on fire, and hopefully they're putting in the time. Where's Papa Rizzo at? I need hours. How many hours are they putting in? Justin, I feel like Justin has way more potential, says PRS dude. He does. I will agree with that. I think I was talking with a buddy last night about it, and when we're seeing players like Joyo and some of these other guys that have more of like a freestyle background, I think that's the part that Justin's missing right now, because he came up at a time when you just like mechanics were mechanics. There was no like in between. There was no freestyle to it. It was you did the mechanic and that was it. And now it's this, you got to be able to be free flowing with it and you use it, turn it on, turn it off. And we've seen Joyo doing that over in EU, right? Last regional, he stopped. Wasn't going for all his flip resets. He was going in between them, and that I think that's what we're missing right now when it comes to Justin. And hopefully, Fireburner can, not Fireburner, Sizz can help him recognize that.
It goes all the way back to what I was just saying with the high level players. The expectation for how they're going to hit the ball is there, and he's doing those things. Right. He's hitting the ball exactly like he should and exactly like he wants to, but the other team already knows he's going to do it.
Right.
So if I came up to you in another sport, in baseball, and hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, I will argue that till the day I die.
I'll agree.
Especially if you try to hit off me. And if I told you there's a fastball coming and I shot it out of a cannon and you had exactly where it's going to be, you can hit the ball, right? But if you just slightly change the trajectory or the pitch or the speed of it, that's what throws everything off. And if you keep doing the same consistent gameplay over and over, you're going to get it. You're just going to know how to defend it.
Correct.
So he's so good. And a lot of these players are, but he's so good at what he does that it's easier to defend against.
I think that's why I draw more, like your baseball analogy, spot on. Hitting a baseball is like one of the hardest things to do. I don't know how people do it at that high speeds. But I think I draw it more into like basketball terms, right? So when someone's coming up and dribbling the ball, if it's in their right hand, then I know they're susceptible to doing this and that. If it's in their left hand, they're going to probably do this or that. And Rocket League kind of falls on that same mindset, right? If you're taking the ball coming off the wall, okay, you typically, like people know when they play me, I don't know how to flip reset very well. I'm just going to take the ball and go try and air dribble straight into your net. Well, okay, I'm going to jump up and just block high and make it to where you can't do that. Whereas like when someone's dribbling, if they can shoot or drive on you, you don't know which one they're going to do. Kind of falls into the same thing of, all right, you're going up for an air dribble. Are you going to do a reset? Are you going to air dribble it straight at me? Are you going to go for a backboard touch? Like there's so many more options. And right now we're seeing Justin and NRG. They're in that predictable play set right now where everybody, like you said, they know what they're doing. Whereas when we're seeing like a V1 beast mode right now, I know Reddles has been, I heard him talk, I think last Friday or a while. I don't remember when it was. Oh, it was last weekend during close qualifiers that he was, what was he saying? He was saying that First Killer to him is the best player in NA right now. And I think right now Beast Mode just made a good statement this weekend that may not be the case. I'm right here battling and showing that I'm just as good. On top of that, he does also have a madman teammate in Calm who seems to be able to harness Rocket Sledge and Woody times 10 and just demo people like crazy.
Those are obviously two of the best players right now anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that that's the case. And you know what makes them so dangerous is their unpredictability, is the fact that they can go out of their way to demo you 90 times in a tournament, or that they can do these other things that you're not expecting, be not just a one-trick pony. And that's what it takes.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not just freestyling. Like, that is a helpful, and I bought into it more and more as I continue to watch RLCS. I can see it in gameplay, and I continue to grow that skill set, that it definitely helps to be able to do more than one thing with the ball in any given situation. And even when you don't have the ball, you shouldn't be doing the same thing over and over. I find myself retreating back at the same times. The play goes the same way, and I see this all the time in Rocket League, where the game will just be playing a certain perfect way, and you're like, I change it up, or this is gonna just end like that.
So you kind of talk about that. Have you noticed? I've noticed in my own gameplay that I have, in like the last week or so, been really trying to focus on when the play is happening, not just focusing on what the ball is doing, i.e., and I go back to basketball terms because that's what I grew up playing. When you're an off-ball player, if you can kind of find the gaps in the defense, and I have finally been able to click that into my own mindset when playing Rocket League, that when someone's going up for something, not just sitting there watching going, ooh, that looks really cool, but trying to evaluate at the same time what the defense is seeing, so I can make an adjustment off of what they're doing and take advantage.
That is the correct way to do things. Have you seen that guy in the NBA, Alvarado? Jose plays for the Pelicans. He'll literally sit in the backcourt and act like he's like on the bench, like sitting in the corner, and then the team will throw it in just nonchalantly, and they'll just come up behind him and steal it. And he's done it a bunch of times this season. Obviously, it's the playoffs now, and he's not playing, but I don't know how many times he did it, but I saw it on ESPN all season, and no one picked up on it because he was so good at doing it at the right time. And if you don't look around and are aware of where everyone's at on the court, that's going to happen to you. If you can't count your teammates and the other, there's how many players are on the pitch at any given time. If you can't see them, or you can't hear them, or you didn't see them go past you, you better be looking for them.
Yeah, I have found that that's the everyday Rocket League player who is struggling to improve. I feel like that's what they're missing out on, is not taking into account for when someone, like, seeing where their teammates are at and playing to that. Like you kind of touched on, you kind of said at the start of not getting upset when someone would cut you now when you're playing, but you're recognizing that, well, that player sees something and is acting on it that I didn't see, but I can make an adjustment that helps them out and puts us in a better situation.
Right. Instead of saying, okay, and then following them, and then two people in their corner, and then you have a third guy sitting back, and then you got a 2-on-1 situation where someone's going to demo that player, or you're going to get fake. Like, it plays out all the time that way, where a double commit happens out of spite. And I'm trying to learn this in my real life, but you can't do stuff just purely based on spite. Otherwise, you're going to get kicked in the nuts.
I love that we just all found out what triggers Bucket the most in Rocket League, and that's okay.
Spitefulness. I remember an old Jerry Seinfeld episode where he tried to return a jacket.
Yes.
And they were like, why do you want to return this? And he said, spite. And they said, you can't return a jacket for spite. And they would not let him return because he hated the salesman who sold it to him. And he couldn't return the jacket because of spite. And had he said anything else or just done it a different way, it would have been all fine. But spite does not get you anywhere.
It does not. You touch on that Seinfeld. That's probably a show that a lot of people a lot of kids these days, they have no clue of, where it was a show that was kind of about nothing, but at the same time, there's so many like good life lessons in that show if you just pay attention and kind of really realize what is going on.
It's hard for kids probably to relate to it because it's dated. I mean, a whole episode about they can't get a hold of each other because messages for each other, which is a home telephone number, an answering machine, or calling into your answering machine to get your messages, or any number of problems that are all solved by technology at this that they didn't have to deal with. But they can't find each other at the movie theaters a couple times or whatever. Like they have whole episodes based off this.
You've got to wear the ribbon.
It's good. It's so good.
You've got to wear the ribbon. That's always one of my favorite ones, the ribbon episode.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, man. I really wish that Octane was not down on their stats because there were some good stats that I had saw this weekend. I kind of want to quote, so I was just, as we've been sitting here talking, and I read it earlier, Shift RL, they put out an article talking about NA, and it was kind of like this, the topic we've been talking about tonight, which is NA's depth. So Shift RL, they end it with North America's depth continues to shine, but G2 Esports reigns supreme at the top. Next weekend, Europe will resume their season in the Tour Day Rocket League. Make sure to stay up to date. I don't know if I could agree with the depth at this point right now. I think okay, I'll take that back. I think there is a depth of players. I don't think there's a depth of teams.
And that's probably why we saw so many moves. I mean, we were all skeptical about it. I was, at least, and it seemed like you were in our conversations. And other people like, oh my gosh, they're just making moves. Everyone's making moves. Why don't they stick with the teams and all this? But they know there's a huge pool of players out there that they can pick from, and a lot of good ones. And if things aren't working, we can try something else.
Your house on fire?
Oh, what that is.
Pause for dramatic effect.
It was a carbon monoxide detector. They kicked it out of the wall.
Oh. There's no carbon.
No, if you remove it makes that sound until you put it back in.
Oh, Wonka, you're not supposed to talk about his wife's cooking that way.
Yeah, right. Making meatloaf?
Making some meatloaf. Ma, the meatloaf.
Bro, she ain't standing in the kitchen right now. She's 38 weeks pregnant.
You said what? You guys are like 20 days out?
Yeah. June 2nd? What is it? The 16th? 2 weeks? 2.5 weeks? Ugh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's coming.
That's approaching very, very quickly.
There's a lot of takeout on our agenda for the next
You know, that's probably the word. You know, they talk about the husband's gaining weight at the same time as the wife during pregnancy. And I don't, it's like, oh, it's sympathy weight. It's like, well, depending on what we're eating, like, that's kind of the problem.
We eat the same things, and she's hungry for a lot of things that sound really good to me. So
right,
I'm gonna also eat that.
Yeah, it's not that like, oh,
sympathy, it's the enjoyment. I'm enjoying it.
It's not that the husband can cook. It's that she wants certain things, and I think that sounds delicious too. So I'm gonna also partake in the 8 o'clock at night meals, McDonald's runs, Burger King, whatever it may be.
I'm looking at some things right now. Stop.
There's a lot of good choices there. Looking forward to EU. Where did that tab go? I know it's your favorite topic.
I might just watch it, fall asleep to it, take naps.
No. So again,
unless Shogun is I don't get as excited anymore about EU games, matches, tournaments, any of it.
Who is a team that you're looking for to have a big showing this weekend?
Oh man, I mean, if anyone can take down the big teams that are just all over the place, BDS, Moist.
There's only two, Moist and BDS.
If anyone can take them down, I'll just be ecstatic. But there's not really a lot of options when you're asking questions like that. Let's look at the EU rankings. BDS and Moist, obviously at the top. Dignitas, we've been talking about them for a while. Like, are they just going to be stuck in the middle? Or are they going to show up and win something? They definitely have one of my favorite players going back a few years. I was telling my kid about this the other day, about how watching these kids play since they were 12, 13, like Scrub Killer.
Shoot, he was like 9.
I remember when Scrub Killer and then First Killer came and all that different, and I was like, man, these kids just have these weird names with so good. It's hard not to watch them. Appjack will have to show up if they want to play. I said it a few splits ago. Evil Geniuses were playing really well. I'm not sure that anyone even knows half of the players besides maybe Ivan. But yeah, I mean, those are the teams that I'm rooting for, honestly, to get up there. Dignitas and EG, but you could be in point. There's so many. They do have a lot of teams, but I just don't see them scoring a lot of these points over these BDS and Moist squads right now.
So the two teams that I want to see have a good showing is Dignitas and Vitality.
You love Vitality, especially after here's the trend. I mean, we talked about this, the Turbo, the Fairy Peak, the guys who made it, who already are established, who are the best of what they were doing at the time. 1v1s for Fairy Peak. Turbo Postal just wins tournaments. You bench those guys, bring in a new person, change up the dynamic, and they start doing well. You could see the same thing with Vitality.
You could, I mean, Vitality in Regional 1, where did they end up? They didn't end up with a lot of points. They got the upper semis. They get beat by BDS. They fall down. They beat Misfits, and then they lose to Solary. So Solary looking for, are they going to have the same showing that they had, or are they going to drop down? Were they a one-time thing? We don't know yet. But yeah, I'm looking for Vitality, who's sitting in the 4th spot right now. I want to see Alpha 54 do well. He's put in his time. He's a very good player. I think he deserves his real good shot at playing at a LAN. But yeah, that and Dignitas. I really want to see Dignitas come back and just show us what we expect Dignitas to be. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago in Regional 1, Jack was dealing with the loss of a friend, so he battled through that, which kudos to him of being able to still play and have the showing that they did. But I think kind of how you said, and I don't want to do this to him, I think this is Dignitas's regional to show up. But I hope they don't don't curse them like you did Space Station.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, they have been just on the cusp, like knocking on the door, and then, someone cracks it open, and for some reason they're not there. They fall off, they run away. I don't know what's going on. But I mean, LAN, I didn't get to see two of my favorite teams play, NRG and Dignitas, and it was heartbreaking, but they're still trending in the wrong direction. But Dignitas, I think right now, has the ability to kind of shoot back up.
Yes, they do. They definitely do have that ability, and hopefully they are able to show us that. Another team, I don't know. I guess I want to see Moist Esports take down BDS. I think that definitely needs to happen, especially because Moist being on the map now for Rocket League, bringing in a ton of viewers. I mean, their watch party was having more people watching than the main RLCS stream. So
that's wild.
I know. Have you gone back and watched any of that?
What a brand this man has made for himself. It's crazy.
I would challenge anybody, if you haven't watched yet, go look back at the Moist Twitch channel and pull up the VOD from 2 weekends ago, and you can click through it, but just the amount of investment that they have it's exciting. You're not seeing that on any of the other org channels when they're doing the watch parties, right? It's a caster. It's someone like you or me who they're bringing on to do the casting. Whereas Moist, he's the owner. This is his org, and he is sitting there watching these guys. Oh, wait. Did you see on First Touch last week And by the way, everybody go like the tweet. Dazarin likes the show. I put it out there. That they had Rizzo and oh my God, I can't remember his name right now. The owner of Moist. They had them on First Touch, and he said that they've been trying to get in the Rocket League scene. They tried to acquire Sandrock when they split up. They also tried to acquire, there was another team they tried to acquire. I can't remember who it was. But the Queso guys were their third attempt at trying to get in.
Really?
Yeah. They
Charlie.
went after, yeah, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. They tried to acquire. There were two other teams that they tried to acquire. One being Sandrock, and there was another, and I can't remember the other one. And I feel like it should be right in, like, smacking me in the face of who they tried to acquire. But yeah, they've been trying to get into the scene for a while. So it's kind of interesting that it was that hard, like that much of a struggle for them. I would have thought that people would jump on it like right away, because he even talked that he's not touching any of their tournament winnings.
So he's like a good owner.
He's a fantastic owner. I will send you the link to that interview that they did. It was a fantastic insight with as much as we've talked about money and contracts. He's not touching any of their tournament winnings. He's letting them keep all of it, which any other org out there, I think it's like a 70-30 is what's getting split. So yeah, he could really be, Moist could really be the org that changes up the scene a lot when it comes to stuff like that.
Well, when I don't know enough. I just know enough about other sports. When you have a bunch of rich owners who do things one way, and then someone comes along and tries to, you have a lot of rich owners who have a lot of money and a lot of say and a lot of power who can come over and say, don't do that or else. So hopefully he doesn't find himself in that situation. But
I would agree with you in this scene if this was built like the other traditional sports like we know and love. Right. I.e. like the NFL right now. Baker Mayfield is getting hosed by any other team right now because of how much money the Browns guaranteed them that no one's willing to trade for him, because they're like, I'm not going to take on that contract. No, thank you. You guys can sit on that.
It's going to be like Moneyball, where David Justice is like, well, you're paying me $7 million. And then come to find out, he says, well, we're only paying you $2 million. The Yankees are paying $5 million for you to play against them. Can you believe that? That's what it's going to take for Mayfield to get a contract, is that they're going to have to pick up the difference that no one wants to pay.
Exactly. Which, like, right now, it's why you're seeing Mark by 8 sit on the bench right now, and no one's willing to. Yeah, they're just raking it in. And kind of on that, and we're getting ready to wrap it up. We got a hard out tonight, but I know who Rizzo talked about it. There's a Halo player. He tried to force his way into being like, hey, I want these changes made or I'm benching myself. And they went, all right, well, we're going to bench you. And I guess in those contracts with Halo, there's an active roster salary and then there's a bench salary. And his bench salary is a crap ton less than what his active salary is.
Interesting. So yeah, they've already gone through this ringer.
Yes.
They know how to structure these contracts the right way. Interesting.
Yeah, so definitely, like, there's those little tidbits out there, and I'm wondering for, like, Mark by 8 what his bench salary is, if it is different. And yeah, they'll take that hit. It probably is different, so they're willing to, BDS is going to sit on that and just pay that out instead of letting him go and beat them. Kind of like you talked about the Moneyball situation, like, oh, well, I'm not paying you, they're paying your salary.
Exactly. But that's what it'll take to get those guys off their roster.
So this weekend, Spring Regional 2 for EU is coming up. And BDS sitting on top, Moist sitting in second, Solary in third, Vitality sitting in fourth, Carmine Corp in fifth, tied with Misfits. And so Simper's just on the outside looking in. We got our, close to my heart, Dignitas. They're down there tied for ninth. We kind of talked about it. You're looking for Evil Geniuses to climb their way out of the 13th spot. I'm looking for Dignitas to climb their way back in and get in that 5th spot. We see everybody in chat. Alicia, hello. Thank you for all clicking on the YouTube link. Everybody's in Twitch right now. This was so I made this decision today. If you're looking on my Twitch channel, I don't have a subscriber button anymore. I have removed my affiliate so that we can do the show on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm also going to be streaming my own stuff on Twitch and YouTube just to try and grow it. See who else we can get out there that wants to talk about Rocket League. So, Bucket, do you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
No, that's my sister and her kid.
That's
it super nice of her to come and say hi? Yeah, I must have got an alert on YouTube channel. It's my old YouTube channel that we're streaming on. Everyone come check it out. It's gonna be big.
Gonna be big. Wonka, how did chat do on the bracket? It was horrendous. I was trying to click through it, and even it just got so messy trying to figure out the way the brackets were shaking out and the predictions that we all made. They were not even close. We were all missing teams and all out of whack. So I will try and see if I can put something together to like point total it. But for next week, I will not be here. I'm going to be out. So we are going to have a week hiatus from the show, and we will be back after NA Spring Regional 3. And we can't wait to see what happens. Be sure to follow us on the Twitters, Mr. Hoosier TTV and at Brucket. And we will chat with you all there. So from both of us, you guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will catch you guys later.